Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming out. I'm going to give a talk on the Age of Reinvention. I think it's probably something that's quite relevant to all of us actually, being in the design industry and everything is changing so quickly. I hope you like it. Let me know if you need me to speak up. I have a cold, but just say louder and I'll speak louder. Okay. Maybe just to start off a little bit about me. I was in school for a long time. I went first for graphic design, and then fashion, and then marketing. I found throughout my education, and then also in the jobs that I got after, especially when I was freelancing, I had to learn quite a few different skills and become definitely like a multi-disciplinary designer. So this is what I was doing in the past. Some of the companies I worked for, and then a little bit about me in the present. Still doing some multidisciplinary stuff, but trying to reinvent myself, I guess, as more of a 3D animator, and taking user experience to another level through like augmented reality. And then I've also started creative coding, and I'm in the first few weeks of an online machine learning course. And it's very difficult, but very thrilling as well. So kind of the first portion we'll talk about is the age of information. I think that this is something that's super prevalent when it comes to just having to reinvent yourself and that as a whole. So we're in the age of information right now, and that means that we have information accessible to us at any time. We can learn anything immediately, and we just have so much data and so much stuff to discover online. And that's amazing in some ways. We're crossing cultural barriers, we can understand and translate many more languages, and then we can connect with people all across the globe. We can also use the internet to learn any skill we want to. And it's quite an amazing thing. Coming into the bad parts of the age of information, studies have shown that our generation is much less able to focus. We have difficulties remembering, and things are moving quite fast, which is both a good thing but also scary sometimes. How do we know what to learn and what we want to concentrate on? And then the ugly. Studies have also shown that an overload of information can lead to depression, anxiety, a feeling of just being lost, desensitization to some of the things that we're learning about, and there's also just so much data out there. So data is amazing, but it's also completely changing the landscape of the job industry and so many other things in our day-to-day lives. It's really good in some ways, and it's aiding us and benefiting us. But it's also completely changing future job prospects for us. There's a lot of data, which leads to more AI algorithms, which also leads to the potential to have more automation for even design jobs. So with job automations, some of the top 3 that are affected are manufacturing, retail, and then also office administration. But what about design automation? There's still a bit of a risk. It's not as prevalent, but it is starting. So here's an example of a platform called BrandMark. And I just took a GIF of it, but essentially it's a platform that creates auto-generated design logos. And you enter keywords, you kind of pick a palette, and it just generates them endlessly. Like there's no end to it. And so this can be quite intimidating as a designer to, rely so much on this as a job, and then there's a platform like this that can create an infinite amount of logos that you just can't do. These are some of the examples. So as we can see, they're not all the best logos, but this is just the first step. Keeping this in mind, how can we compete with machines? How can we compete with these types of platforms coming out? Things are moving super fast. I'm sure a lot of you have seen changes in job descriptions even over the last few years. So like from 10 years ago to today, the role of a designer has changed from, you know, someone working with branding and typography and whatever to someone who also does animation, UX, UI, you know, sometimes 3D stuff. And it's very prevalent in design positions. Technology is advancing super quickly, and as designers, we're just expected to know so much. And it's very hard to do all of that. One of the things you can do to help circumvent that is to collaborate. One of the best things that I've done personally is join collectives and collaborate with other specialists on things. But then with reinvention comes learning new skills. So learning new skills, the skill of learning is actually the most useful skill that you can know because it's one that never fails to bring benefits to you. Because if you learn a specific skill, it's obviously very useful at the time, but with the rate of which things are changing, yeah, being able to learn is just really the most important. It's quite abstract, the concept of the skill being learning, but it's really the key to reinvention and to staying current as a designer and in the job market. Yeah, I want this to be a very positive presentation at the end. I truly believe that anyone can learn anything that they put their mind to. It just comes with like dedication, practice, and creating a schedule, creating goals. Yeah, I think it might seem, especially when we're on social media and stuff like that, we're seeing so many people who are so talented, and we're seeing it at face value, but what we don't see is like the hours and hours of dedication and work that they've put behind that. I think sometimes being on social media is, yeah, super intimidating because you're just, at least for me in my feed, I'm just seeing designer after designer after designer who's just so talented and incredibly good at what they do, and yeah, it's all compiled together in your feed, but they're all separate people, but it is intimidating. There's a 10,000 hour rule. So there's kind of a heuristical rule where if you do anything for 10,000 hours, you can become an expert at it. Obviously, you can't do that for everything, but if you choose what you really want to learn and what you really want to become good at, yeah, you can definitely achieve it. Yeah, and don't give up. Be patient with yourself. You probably won't get it right on your first try, but again, it just comes with practicing. I wanted to touch on the concept of learning versus unlearning. So to unlearn, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is to put out of one's memory or knowledge and to undo the effect of or discard the habit of. So unlearning is sometimes viewed as a negative thing, like forgetting something, but choosing what you leave behind is just as important as choosing what you bring with you and how you grow. So I have a little question for all of you, and I wanted to see if anyone has any ideas of what they would like to unlearn. You can just shout it out or whatever. Any ideas? No? Okay, well, I'll share what I came up with. Yeah, so these are a bit abstract, but unlearning fear, for example, unlearning self-doubt, unlearning impatience. I think that these aren't necessarily super tangible traits, but I think that the more we can let go of these things that hold us back, the more we're able to learn. Some of my favorite places to learn are on YouTube, on Skillshare, with peers, and in meetups like this. And on a last note, I think that the flip side to learning is also sharing. So if you are learning stuff and you're contributing to that environment, definitely try to give back and also help to teach people things, and be open to that. It becomes cyclical and self-sustaining, and it just becomes a movement that I think is very beautiful. And that's it. Thank you very much.